You know, it's no secret by now that I absolutely love bear hunting. Why is that? I don't know, but it's one of my favorite animals to hunt. And one of my favorite places to hunt bear is in White River, Ontario. White River, Ontario, home of Ron St. Louis and Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. I've been hunting in White River now, I think, for the past 10 years. Over that time, I've taken some very nice animals. The last 3 years with Ron St. Louis, one of the best outfitters I have ever hunted with. He's a nice guy, a hardworking guy, and he knows how to put bears on baits. Ron, how are things looking this year?
Good, really good. Not much for berries, so should be really good. This morning when I took the guys out, took them to their first bait, showed them their first bait, comes the second bait, we got out. As I was walking in, there was a bear coming out of the trail, so he turned, went back in. So we kept going in, we baited, and as soon as I turned around, there was the bear. He started walking towards the bait. So we started walking out and he followed me all the way out. He wanted to come to the trail to come back into the bait.
So the first night of the season, it's in the low 80s. I think it was 84 degrees when I went out to the blind. I got to tell you, with it being that warm, I wasn't really expecting much.
I'm in the blind now in this first afternoon here in Northern Ontario. Man, it's warm. It's in the low 80s. And I thought while I was driving out here, I thought, you know, if I see anything tonight, it'll probably be just before dark when it cools off. But you know what? I was out here at 8:30 this morning. The bait wasn't hit. I was back here, 3:30 this afternoon, and it had been hit. So a bear came in and hit this bait sometime roughly in the middle of the day when it was hot. So I'm thinking this could happen anytime now.
About 5:30, a bear comes in. He's a nice bear, a respectable bear. If I hadn't shot a fair number of bears, I might even say he's a shooter bear. But at this point in my bear hunting career, I'm looking for a pretty good size animal. I've taken 2 now over 300 pounds. So on this trip, I'm looking for something 350, 450. I'm looking for a really special bear. And though this first bear that night was a decent bear, he wasn't what I was looking for. Once again on this trip, I'm hunting with my dart and crossbow, this time the Rebel 135 SS, a very fast crossbow, yet it's small, it's compact, and it's easy to hunt out of a ground blind. And I'm using the G5 Montech heads, the good old-fashioned resharpenable heads that I've taken a lot of bears with and had a lot of good luck with these heads. I like to hunt bears from a ground blind. Now, you might think, that's a little bit strange. You might even think it's dangerous. I don't think it is. When you hunt from a ground blind, it controls or it hides your movement. It hides your scent. It protects you from the elements. Now, you don't have as much visibility when you're looking out the window of a ground blind as you would from a tree stand. But I find on a bear bait, that's where the animals are going to be anyway, so it's not a big deal. And I shoot through the mesh of the ground blinds. For me, it's a very effective way of hunting bears.
It's the second day now of the Ontario hunt. It's about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday, so that's very much welcome. I'm back in the same blind. I wasn't in here 10 minutes, probably less than that. And that same bear that was in here all afternoon yesterday came back in. He's a young male, a boar. Looking at him closer, I think he's a little smaller than I thought he was yesterday. Again, not what I'm looking for. He seems pretty friendly. We're gonna hang out here tonight and See if maybe his grandpa won't come in.
He comes and goes for most of the evening. Then, as it gets pretty close to dark, the bear I'm watching starts to get nervous. So I know, okay, there's another bear in the area. The bear I'm watching on the bait runs off. And as I'm watching this, a bigger bear comes into the frame of my camera and comes into the bait. Now I'm starting to get excited. He's a nice bear, maybe even a shooter bear, but he wasn't what I was looking for on this night. So on the third night, I decided to move to another bait in another blind. This one, a bait I had hunted last year. It's kind of an interesting setup. The bait is down at the bottom of the hill. My blind is up on the top of the hill, so it's almost like hunting from a tree stand, yet I'm in a ground blind. After a couple of hours, I hear some grunting and some huffing and some popping of jaws. There's a bear down there. I can't see him, but he either knows I'm there or something has him upset. He's making a lot of noise down there. He won't come into the bait. I watched this and listened to this for the longest time. Eventually, he comes into the bait where I can see him. Another respectable bear, a decent bear, but not the one I'm looking for. So I sat back and just enjoyed the show. The bear on the bait starts to get nervous. I see why. Another bear now comes in, runs that bear off the bait. This second bear, a nice bear, a beautiful bear. She's a sow, and she's got a beautiful white blaze on her chest. I thought pretty seriously about shooting this bear because she was just absolutely beautiful. She was a good-sized bear, but again, not what I was looking for. So again, I sat back. I watched these bears. They ran each other back and forth off the bait several times throughout the night. It got dark. I went back to town without a bear, and I was feeling good. Okay, so now it's day 4. Unless something drastic happens, I know this is going to be my last night in a blind, the last night of my hunt. I go back to the same spot, the one up on the hill. At one point, I'm watching this big sow on the bait, and I hear some movement off to the right, so I know the other bear is in the area. I zoom out with the camera, and I'm thinking that this bear is going to walk in front of me. No, the other bear walked around behind me. And I don't mean way back in the bush. I mean, I can hear this animal brushing against the blind as it walks by. At one point, he stops. He starts sniffing and snorting the edge of the blind, which is really like 2 feet from my ear. I can hear him snuffling and snorting. In fact, you can even hear it on the camera. So these bears are wandering all over the place. I've got them on the bait. I've got them wandering around beside me. I've got them biting the bait buckets next to the blind. At one point, I'm videotaping a bear down on the bait. Another one walks right in front of me. I mean, I am covered up with bears. It was a wonderful night, a wonderful experience. But again, these are not the bears I'm looking to harvest. I never let an arrow fly. I never took a bear on this trip, but it didn't matter. This was one of the best bear hunts I have ever had. I was covered up with bears every night in the bush. They were walking all around me. I saw lots of bears. I saw some interesting bear behavior, and I had close-up experiences with bears. What more could you ask for? I was looking for a big bear. I didn't get him. I didn't shoot one. I came home empty-handed, and it was one of the best bear hunts I've ever had. I'm going back next year, and maybe that 400-pounder is waiting for me.